Alright everybody, how we doing today? Time for your additional Brexit news for those of you British viewers. Alright, ready for Brexit and election? Bojo massacres May's cabinet to install hardline levers. Alright, here we go. New UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson conducted a cabinet bloodbath on his first day that saw three of May's ministers replaced with loyal, true Brexit believers. That is all the hallmarks of a government readying itself for a general election. In what was less a reshuffle and more a complete overhaul of a Tory government, weighed down by the Brexit debacle, Wednesday saw 17 of 30 ministers either sacked or resign as Johnson stamped his authority on day one. This is very, very similar to what Trump did. In a lot of ways, he is your Trump. Let's just hope his foreign policy isn't as damning. The new figures taking up some of the most powerful positions in Johnson's Conservative cabinet are ostensibly hardline Brexiters, who are comfortable with the thought of Parliament being suspended to ram through a no-deal Brexit. Johnson has hired the service of Dominic Cummings, the mastermind behind Vote Leave's victory in the 2016 EU referendum, as his chief of staff, and the new Prime Minister appears to have assembled a team intent on delivering Brexit without a deal if need be. Priti Patel, Home Security. A Vote Leave campaigner who was forced to resign from May's cabinet as International Trade Secretary after conducting off-the-books meetings with the Israeli government while on holiday in the Golan Heights. During an appearance on BBC Question Time 2010, Patel advocated the return of the death penalty for murderers and rapists, insisting that I would support the reintroduction of capital punishment to serve as a deterrent. Before entering Parliament, she worked as a lobbyist for a tobacco firm that paid its workers $15 a month, according to The Observer. 15 pounds, pardon. Now look, the thing about the death penalty is, I don't know about how it is over the UK, but over here in the United States, let me tell you something. Having the ability to execute people for committing a crime is a great responsibility. And our government has not wielded it with the appropriate discipline and responsibility. A lot of innocent people have gone to death row. More innocent than guilty. If Britain, if you guys aren't using the exact same scrutiny, then someone who was falsely accused of rape could end up getting killed for it. Which would almost be preferable to having to live with that particular monkey on your back, but still. The so-called justice system in a lot of countries is downright criminal. And don't even get me started on Egypt, where a 4-year-old gets locked up in prison because they mistook his name for that of his uncle, and the police over there are such drones that they didn't even think about it. Anyway, Gavin Williamson, Education Secretary. During his previous 18 months in office, Williamson, 43, was loved by the media for the blunt and rather childish statements he made on a regular basis, telling Russia to go away and shut up. Let's hope he can improve his vocabulary while education minister. He also proposed to put guns on tractors to save money and threatened to send an aircraft carrier into Chinese waters, which led to the cancellation of a high-profile state visit. Williamson was sacked as Defense Secretary just under 3 months ago for allegedly leaking state secrets in the Hawaii Chinese high-tech scandal. Is that really his choice for Education Secretary? Oh god, that's horrifying. And that Priti Patel is Home Secretary? Let's continue with the horror show. Dominic Raab, Foreign Secretary, a hardline Brexiteer who floated the idea of proroguing, suspending Parliament to guarantee the UK's exit from the EU during his ultimately failed Tory leadership campaign. During his time as Brexit Secretary, Raab was mercilessly mocked after revealing that he hadn't quite understood the full extent to which Britain was reliant on the Dover-Calais crossing for trade. In 2011, Raab insisted that feminists are now amongst the most obnoxious bigots, adding that it was time for men to start burning their briefs. In 2017, he claimed that most food banks users were not languishing in poverty, but were instead having cash flow problems, and has banned British workers, the worst idlers in the world. As Brennan, the worst idlers in the world. This guy's an idiot. Yes, there are far left extreme feminists who live in their own little reality and think there's a magical patriarchy ruling the world. Like their version of the Illuminati, only it's all men. And they have to invent crimes that men supposedly committed against women. But they're far from the majority of feminism. They're an extreme minority that admittedly is growing and beginning to infect the majority, albeit it's a very slow infection. And idiots like this aren't really doing much to stop it. He's actually making it worse. He's hurting credibility of people who are against it. Jacob Rees-Mogg, leader of the House, the prominent anti-EU Tory MP who heads the powerful Brexiteer European Research Group, or ERG, was previously tipped to be a conservative leader of the future and was a constant thorn in former PM May's side. Some of the posh Etonian's greatest hits of controversies include suggesting all council workers wear bowler hats, speaking to a group that favors voluntary repatriation of black immigrants, and voting against gay marriage and abortion even in cases of rape and incest. Oh yeah, no, he's going to go over well with the general populace. Johnson's vote leave government will be applauded by hardline Brexiteers in Parliament around the UK. But the new PM has a tough task keeping happy all those former ministers, relegated to the back benches. British MPs break for summer recess on Thursday and return to work on September 3rd. However, the new Prime Minister may find his summer vacation plans cancelled as Brexit negotiations with Brussels restart. Wow. Yeah, no, you'll get your Brexit, but it looks to me like it's going to come at a pretty high price. Your government's going to be filled to the brim with idiots. Absolutely the worst the conservatives have to offer. Truly. And what do you want to bet? Most of them are Keynesian. I'm learning a lot really about Keynesian economics. Wow, wow, wow. Part of the reason I do this channel really is because I'm really interested in politics. I'm super into it. And when I learn a new thing, I want to find stories on the internet that give me a chance to comment on those stories using things I've learned. Sort of share my knowledge and learn along with you. That's my thing. And that's actually one area where the conservatives have lost their damn minds, is Keynesianism. The idea that, creating artificial market incentives in place of more organic profit incentives. Creating projects that result in the creation of jobs, which, by the way, they lose once the project's finished. Artificial incentives will sometimes lead investors and entire corporations to just up and leave. But aside from Keynesianism is also the fact that they are so opposed to the left sometimes that they end up doing something totally stupid just because it's a counterpoint, as though that alone was its own meritocracy. I've seen it enough in my own country, now I'm starting to see it in your guys's. You're going to get your Brexit, but it's going to come at the cost of stupidity. Out of all of them, I think the one you'd have to worry about the most would got to be Gavin Williamson as your education secretary. It's like, this guy's well known for acting like a child and being generally disrespectful. He wanted to put guns on tractors to save money. and wanted to violate Chinese waters, violate Chinese space. Doesn't seem very smart, and yet he's being put in charge of education. Great choice! I had hopes for Boris Johnson, just like I had hopes for Trump. I seem to fall for people like these. When am I going to learn? Oh, Britain. Britain, Britain, Britain. Please don't go off the deep end.